Let's let Padre hit back then. Go on.
This is just, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, so I'm on Glassdoor, and as people might be aware that before I came to Saudi Arabia, I was in Italy working for a bunch of cunts called IHSAHN Calabria, and I was checking the other day because I've heard things on the grapevine, and they've just been littering Glassdoor with like 5-star reviews. So I was like, I'm not having this. And like you think from reading the reviews, they were like, it was a utopia, but really what they are is like, imagine if like Risk by Megadeth was a school, right? That's how bad it is, right? But it's a school that refuses to take risks, hence why they're so shit. Or risks in the sense that they use too much snare drum, like on St. Anger, and it just backfires. So, but anyway, they've been papering the fucking internet, Glassdoor specifically, with these fake 5-star reviews. What I've done is I've gone on, I've reported all the reviews. I've got 3 of them taken down, and then I've also hit back with my own in-depth, scathing indictment of them on both Glassdoor and Reddit. I just want to put this out there to all my, all our followers on the podcast. International House, British School, Reggio Calabria, absolute bunch of fucking wankers. If you know anyone that does English language teaching, tell them to fucking stay away. Give them my Instagram handle. I'll fucking talk to them. Stay the fuck away unless you want to work at the Reload equivalent of a fucking educational establishment. That is it. That's all I'm going to say. Imagine if Bob Rock was the fucking principal. That's what you're going to get. It's, look,
With a name like Rock, how bad can it be?
It really bad. Okay, look, the crying shame of that place is the school is literally in the shadow of a volcano, and the volcano would do the world the good if it just erupted and wiped that fucking school off the face of the earth. I don't want to see anyone dead. Just burn the building down. Yeah, so that's been I haven't spoken to anyone all day. That's just been building.
Yeah, we can tell. We can tell. This is a metal podcast, by the way. So yeah, so welcome to that. Apologies for the opening salvo, but there you go. You'd expect nothing less, would you? Other than that, are you both doing well? It's been a couple of weeks since we were all together, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
We are here. We are here, really.
I want to hear about this £8.25 a pint business Enslaved.
It was Islington Assembly on Wednesday night. I'll talk a little bit more about the gig when we round up March, because there's, March is full of gigs. So I'll talk about that a little bit more. It was a great gig for the record, but yeah, you expect it in the big arenas and that now. When we saw Maiden at the O2 last year, it was £8.50 for a pint of whatever shit it was, and I had a couple of pints of, fancy-ish middle class brew doggy type of beer. And £8.25 a pint. You could get Foster's for £6.35. Even that's a crime, because that's just piss water. But come on, it's got to fucking stop. It's fucking disgraceful.
It's Islington, isn't it?
If they're charging that for beer, how much are they charging for merch?
Well, you know what? This is the weird thing, right? The merch. As you walked in the building, the Enslaved merch was right in front of you. The support bands around the other side, and t-shirts are 25 quid for a normal t-shirt. It's 30 quid for a tour t-shirt, which is that's getting to the point where that's pretty standard now. You go to the arenas and you're looking at 40 quid. A long sleeve t-shirt was 45 and a hoodie was 65.
Well, I just piss off. I mean, that's just too much. This is the thing, right? We're not talking about hand-stitched in like some kind of Italian monastery in the Alps by blind monks. These are fucking band t-shirts. It's cheap material, right? You've got to take care of them because they won't last. They're probably being stitched together in Malaysia or Vietnam, in some sweatshop somewhere, or somewhere where labor is really cheap. So then to charge 35, 40 quid for a tour t-shirt, it's just.
I mean, it's not the
why
band.
Are people doing
The venue would have been taking a cut.
I'm not blaming the band. I'm not blaming
the venue would have been taking a cut.
The system itself is broken.
Yeah, completely. But look, plenty of people
going to a gig.
Merch.
We can do, like, we've done episodes before where we've talked about the working class roots of heavy metal, and we've talked about scenes and bands that grew up with scenes, how are people who aren't earning enough disposable income, who like this form of music, supposed to go and see it live? This is not a form of music, a genre of music that was meant to exist only on records. These bands, most of the bands that we've listened to, that we've grown up with, they became big based on touring and playing live. Now, I know it's different now that bands can break on Spotify, they can break on YouTube, and that's great because it does give a lot of people more exposure. But I'm sure those bands themselves would love to be able to go out and tour properly, see their fans play live, because it's just as much as a thrill for them. And
Well,
it
that's
seems
the
like,
only way they make a living now as well. They're not
yeah,
making
but
anything
it
out of
seems
music.
like now the bands as well are being priced out of going on tour
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's ridiculous. You can't see a band. The band can't afford to tour, but you can't buy. You can afford the ticket. You can afford the train ticket to get there. Maybe you can afford one beer. And then what are you supposed to do? Well, let's have a burger. How much is the burger? It's 12 quid. Like, what is it? Wagyu beef? Like, just it's gone beyond the joke. It's I don't. This is the thing. Like, the cost of living where I live is probably about the same the UK was about 5 or 6 years ago, I would say. And I've lived in other places where the cost of living is a lot lower, but you're still getting value for money. You see the locals getting value for money. What the fuck is value about the UK at the moment? Everything seems to be you're just getting fleeced.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. You are. I mean, look,
for everything.
the ticket for Enslaved, I think all fees in was about 28 quid, which that wasn't bad for three decent bands. But yeah, you're right. If you say 28 quid for the ticket, it was what 18 quid for my train into and out of London, couple of beers like that there straight away. That's 60 odd quid gone. And then if you add a bit of merch, you're getting close to 100 quid before you've really done anything.
Right. I mean, one reason I didn't come in the end, I chose not to, despite really wanting to, is because, the ticket from where I live is 30 quid plus, and that's with my discount, my rail discount.
Yeah.
I don't really drink much these days, so, I would have stuck with a 6 quid Foster's, just put up with it. But, I ultimately it was down to the fact that I couldn't get home easily because there was fucking engineering works in Medway.
Yeah.
So, I would have got to bed till like half past.
What cracks me up about the train system in the UK is when you do have the engineering works, you've got the replacement buses. The tickets are the same bloody price.
Like,
Like,
it should be cheaper.
you want me to get off at Exeter, get on a train, or get on a bus, or in sometimes taxi. Why am I paying the same price?
Yeah, it should be cheaper.
Like, yeah, there doesn't seem to be any common sense anymore.
No,
because
there is no.
Because you're a cash cow and you'll bloody well like it.
Yeah, yeah. Which is what we're all whores to the system, whether we like it or
That's
not.
it. You exist to keep the rich rich.
Yeah, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer.
No question that. Know your place.
Anyway, should we talk about something a little bit more positive, because we can grumble about shit all night, but I think we probably leave that to another episode. Right, February. We're already 2 months into the year. It's fucking flying by, and another month of solid and a few damn fine releases, must admit, and a few other bits we need to discuss. So I think before we touch on some of our favorite albums, we'll catch up on a couple of the news stories from the month. The biggest thing is the Slayer reunion. I mean, together, the Slayer reunion, obviously just before it, Kerry King dropped his solo track, didn't he, and solo album and whatnot. So we haven't had a chance to talk about this properly yet. We've done a little bit on social media, but among the three of us, what do we actually think of this Slayer reunion? How cynical are we towards it?
I looked it up, like, because I obviously, when Jeff passed away, and I had nothing against Gary Holt from Exodus replacing Jeff. I thought that was a very clever move. Yeah. It's from a heritage perspective, Bay Area, one of the innovators of the scene. Very good guitar player, good guy as well from the sounds of it. All the interviews, he looks like a really nice guy.
Yeah, definitely.
but I didn't like have that much. I was really annoyed and sad when Jeff passed away, because like Slayer were like one of my favorite bands. And from what I've heard, that read, Tom Araya didn't visit Jeff in the hospital when he died. There was some kind of spat going on between them. Kerry King, and I don't think Tom was that much involved with the Jeff Hanneman memorial kind of night they had, where Kerry King was kind of there and like telling loads of funny stories about Jeff. And it seems that Kerry and Tom don't get on anymore, but this has been put back together by the wife or the manager.
Yeah, there was something about that.
I don't think the fans are suspect of this or aren't interested, are being cynical. I think this is a cynical move from the band and the management. I just don't. I mean, would it be nice to go and see them play Angel of Death again? Of course. Is it the same? To some extent, Kerry King's still there, Tom Araya still there. You know, is it Paul Bostaph on drums?
Yeah, it's Paul Bostaph. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nothing against Bostaph, but he's not Lombardo. You know, then you're gonna have are they bringing Gary Young back?
It's Gary Holt.
Player,
it's the same lineup.
Gary Holt, sorry, not Gary Young, Gary Holt.
Yeah, it's So look, I agree about Gary Holt. If you were going to replace Jeff Hanneman with anybody, Gary Holt made total sense, absolute sense. You know, he fit with the aesthetic as well.
I kind of grow a bit tired of this. Right, we're done. We're retired. We're never going to play again. Just why don't you? I mean, never say never. Just come out and go, right, we're going to take a few years off. We might not be back, but we might be back. We don't know yet.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, watch this space.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, I mean, for me, the whole concept of a farewell show and a reunion gig and everything like that, it was completely ruined by the Sabbath experience we had, where we went to Birmingham and we were like, right, we've left that gig. We're like, right, we've seen Sabbath for the last time. And then what was it? 6 weeks later, you tore your ticket up because they announced the new tour or something. You know, you buy the t-shirt, the Last Supper t-shirt. It's one of my favorite t-shirts I've ever bought at a gig. And 6 weeks later, Sharon Osbourne is on the news. Yeah, we're going to be touring again in America, and you're just like, what the fuck was? You just feel like you've been deceived.
Yeah.
So it's like. And it's happened too many times, and now, so this is, it's that kind of stuff that makes you cynical.
Have we got a more reasonable point of view, though?
Yeah, look, if I go to a gig and they're there, I will go and see them. It's Slayer. I will cheer. I will be happy. But I'm just like, stop treating people like we're idiots.
To be honest, and this is a bit more cynical, but I kind of stopped caring about bands splitting up a long time ago, because this is almost part of the course.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. It's a case of you split up, all right. Maybe you'll never make music again. Maybe you'll never tour again. Maybe you will. If you do, cool.
It's like do you remember when Motley Crue did the whole contract signing thing that they would never play live again and all that bullshit? It's just.
It's the thing is, part of it is theatre. I think a lot of the time they just want a long break. They want to do some other things. You know, they just need to get away from each other for a bit.
Yeah, like we normal everyday people can't understand that. Like if a band came out and go, all right, listen, we've been touring together for 2 years, living in hotels. We haven't seen our families, and we've been around each other too much. We need a break. We need to see our families. We need to recuperate.
Yeah.
If someone just had the authenticity to come out and just say that, everyone would just be like, do you know what? I get it. Yeah, you want time off. You've got the money. You've got enough money that you can be like, fuck you, I'm not working for 6 months. Fair play to you, mate. Go away, chill out, come back in 6 months, maybe write a new album, because I'll be waiting for that new album. But no, it's like they treat us like idiots. You know, like we can't, and it's all the time. And we're not. Even with bands like Motley Crue, we're not at the level of Pink Floyd yet, because that's the ultimate. Like you just want to literally knock their heads together. Like
that's just pure ego. That is pure.
Well, I mean, all of this is ego, but that the Pink Floyd situation, that ego's on the dark side of the moon.
It's beyond that, the other side of the wall, mate.
Yeah.
I don't know. I am torn about it. I like you said, you know, love Slayer, but I agree. I'm getting to that point where a band splits up. I think we probably even said it when Slayer did say they were calling it a day. They'll be back. You just know it's going to happen now, and that is, you know, and he's right. It's why we get cynical towards it now. It's just
it is. I'd rather just be honest and say we're going on an indefinite hiatus, because some bands do that.
Yeah.
And fair play, you know, they're not going to insult the fans' intelligence, but we know why they say you're splitting up. It's so you can do a final tour, so you can sell the merch,
Yeah,
and make the money out of it. And then 5 years later, oh yeah, we might go together. It's so yeah. I take it with a pinch of salt when a band said they split up, because it's just like
I'd have more respect if some of these bands came out and said, "Look, listen, we've only ever done this. We don't know how to do anything else. We did have money, but we've unwisely invested it. And to be honest, we need the money, so we're coming back out on the road."
you know, yeah, I'm with you. And I'd fucking love to see a man say that. And actually, be honest about it.
And do you know, I would say, do you know what? Fair play, because if I had money and would I know how to invest it? No, I'd probably lose it. So I could empathize with that. Again, it's like this attitude that somehow we're not going to be able to understand that you want to take a break. We're not going to be able to understand that this is a job. Like this idea of the jet setting rock superstar. I think it's pretty much done now. I mean,
yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah, like we don't imagine Tom Araya or Kerry King living in a 21-bedroom mansion somewhere surrounded by a 12-foot high wall. You know, that's for the Lars Ulrichs of this world, okay?
Yeah.
But
that's it. You want your final tour to be that 1996 series of Only Fools and Horses, and finish there. You don't want them to come back 8 years later because they've invested their money badly and they need some more stories, and it's mostly shit.
Yeah,
I know, and like you know, it's like basically it's like a Bobby Moore testimonial. You've played for West Ham all your life. Here's your testimonial. Go off and buy a pub. Put your medals on the wall. You know, like just do that. Like this is the other, like, you know, Kerry King could probably open up a bar, call it King's Diner. All the memorabilia on the wall, like, you know, Metal City, whatever you want to call it. And I'd go and eat there. I'd be like, Kerry, I want the ham and onion rings, please. Or I don't fucking look. Let's just do something else.
We'll talk of Kerry King then. What do we think of his of the solo track?
Ugh. It's all right.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but that's
it's not bad. It's not great.
It's fine. It shouldn't be.
It's Kerry King.
It should be better than Fire. It should be Kerry. Exactly. Where's the Fire with the brimstone? And that's what's sad. I think some people, they're just getting predictable.
It's a bit like a phoned-in Slayer song, isn't it?
Yeah,
kind of how it feels, you know. And
I think I don't know. It doesn't remind me of Slayer, to be honest. I think it sounds just more like sort of half-baked classic thrash with a little bit of evil. It's not quite Slayer evil, to be honest with you. But
well, you take away Jeff Hanneman's sense of melody, and all you've got left is Kerry King, and it's going to be pretty Route One, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the reason Slayer worked is because the dynamic between those two they played off each other. Like, you know, Seasons in the Abyss is the perfect example of that. That song, Kerry King solo, Jeff Hanneman solo. One is a load of noise. The other one just sounds, you know, this beautiful, intricately played solo that's surprisingly melodic. And that always works. You take one of those away and it just, and we'll get onto the album cover in a minute. We'll touch on that quickly, but yeah, it is a bit Route One for me. I don't know. You could probably drop it into a Slayer set and you wouldn't notice that much. It'd be like one of those songs. All right, Slayer are playing that stuff. Now I'm going to go for a piss and grab a beer. But look, we'll see what happens with it. I'm sure there'll be, there'll be UK shows, no doubt. Download in 2025. I expect, as predictable as that is, it will probably happen. Potentially a Bloodstock headline show. Maybe they've headlined Bloodstock once already, so that could happen if they pulled their finger out. But
I think what I'd like to do is let's get on to the bread and butter of today's episode, because we need to talk about this IHSAHN album.
Yeah, we do. I tell you what, we'll get to that. I'll quickly touch on one gig from this month, which was Suffocation and Sanguisugabogg. which I kind of went last minute. Bean was going, oh, fuck it, I'll go. I got into Suffocation a little bit, so I thought we'll see them live. And I got to admit, Suffocation were fucking immense, like absolutely fucking incredible. As a death metal band, they were so on point, and it was so brutally delivered. I was genuinely impressed by them, and it was like watching them and watching Sanguisugabogg before them, a band that had been doing it for 30 plus years, and the new kids on the block was like fucking polar opposite. Now, Sanguisugabogg, they are a little bit, they've always had that kind of, since they come on the scene, or it's disgusting, or it's this, it's that, and whatever. I do quite like the records, but live, it was just, oh, is that it? And it was just, it just didn't, it had no fucking delivery whatsoever. 2 guitar players, no bass player, which I didn't like that at all, because there's no groove to it. No, and the drummer looked bored as fuck. As Bean called him, he was a drum tickler. It was just the you know, he may as well have been playing in a pub band doing Coldplay covers.
I have tried to listen to that band, Sanguisugabogg, and I think they are utter shite. I don't even think it passes for music. It is crap. The name is crap. The logo is crap. It is just, it's childish. And it's exactly why I stopped listening to new stuff. And I've been thinking about this all day, because I've been listening to the IHSAHN. I know you want to get back to it, but like, I've been thinking about why did I drop out of the loop for so long, like, and just stick to listening to like a small number of, like, say 20, 25, 30 bands. And it took me so long to get back into anything new. And I think a lot of it is, it's stuff like this. There's too much of this rather than, okay, I'll give you an example. Toxicrow. It's camp as hell, but I like it.
Yeah. It's got songs.
It's like songs. There's a song there. Like, this isn't snobbery. Like, I can't see the songwriting skill that comes with like a band like Sanguisugabogg. I don't look. I'm freely admit that maybe something's passing me by that I don't get. Maybe I can't get into it, and I have tried, and it, like I said, I can bring this back round to the IHSAHN stuff later, but
no, I was the same. As I said, I kind of didn't keep up with new things for quite a long time. It was the late noughties, and it was deathcore that pushed me away. And I know Sanguisugabogg are not deathcore, but it's
but they're not far off.
No, but it's that same sort of blunt kind of, just simple, nasty, unmelodic simplicity, just aggressive. Bleh. I that's why I kind of.
But that delivery can work if you're doing that. But when you do it live, for instance, it's got to be fucking savage. Like, it's got to be so in your face.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't. I was like, and Bean was the same. We just looked at each other and like, there's just something missing about this band. They went down a storm. People love them, but there is definitely something missing.
Yeah, but how many people love them? This is the thing. These are niche acts.
Yes, definitely 100% a niche band, but fundamentally they are a death metal band, and so they will if that's the kind of death metal you're into, you just want it bludgeoningly heavy, then they're going to appeal to you. But there was just something missing. I swear it's got something to do with the lack of a bass player. There was just no groove. So
that is a strange thing. That is a strange thing.
I didn't know. I didn't even know until saw them live. I just assumed it was a pretty standard setup. But there you go. But aside from that, Suffocation, who are brutally heavy and brutally in your face and quite hard to penetrate, I thought were absolutely fucking unreal. So it can be done. So yeah. Anyway. Should we start off with IHSAHN then, because I think we're chomping at the bit to talk about that.
He's about to say, yeah, he's got things to say.
Well, look, we got to. It's a fucking work of art. But Padre, I'll let you kick off with that one.
So I started listening to it, and I was like, "What is this shit?" And this is what I'm saying. Like, and then I thought about like the growly vocals. Even the music didn't really pull me in. And but then I just stopped. I said, no, I think this is clearly one of these an album, a piece of artwork, you know, in terms of its presentation, its scope, and it needs to be taken seriously. And I think the reason it needs to be taken seriously is it's made by IHSAHN. Now he's obviously got the pedigree, he's got the credentials. So I thought, you know, if this person who I've seen live with Emperor, who I've followed for a long time, has gone away and crafted this, that it's respect to him. That I need to sit down and just listen to this. And when I say sit down and listen, stop everything I was doing, and just literally sat down and sat on the couch and just had turned the light off and just listened to it. And I'm glad I did. I think it's a wide-ranging, broad vision piece of artwork. The only thing that I dislike are some of the growling lyrics, but then I was quite surprised to hear further into the album that there were clean lyrics. But there were some times when I was just thinking to myself, this would be amazing if it was just instrumental. I am a bit of a sucker for a good instrumental, and I think, you know, you can make, a lot of people are going to talk about, oh, it's like classical music, etc., etc. Of course, and there's like orchestral elements to it. But if you're going to talk about that, then why, if I listen to a piece of classical music like Tchaikovsky's Second Piano Concerto in B or D, there's no vocals, but it's a fantastic piece of music. So I think sometimes with these bands, they don't need to necessarily put the growling vocals or the screaming vocals in. Just elongated tracks of instrumental music, because it's so intricate. This is the thing. This is not an album, I think, that you put on while you're at the gym or while you're walking to work. This is an album that demands attention, because there are multiple layers in it, and because this is a master craftsman of his genre, who's obviously put, I don't know how many years of thought into this piece of work, and it's not something that you listen to half-heartedly. You need to you will listen. I'm sure the next time I listen to it, because I've listened to it 4 times today, back to back. I've just left it on, and I'll probably listen to it again tomorrow, and I'll pick up on something that I might have missed this time around. So I think it's not even like, I wouldn't even put it into some like kind of thing like an album of the year, because it feels like it's more than just an album. It's a complete piece of work.
It's like a movie score.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's really funny because at one point, I mean, I know I said, you know, you need to sit down and just listen to this. I bet on the 4th time I started playing Warhammer Total War, right? And I felt like this music goes with this computer game. You know, you've got chaos orcs running around on the screen and vampires and shit like that, and I'm like, that this whole this works together. So I think.
Are you aware there's an orchestral version of the album?
Yeah, you need to listen to that.
No, I didn't know that.
It's a purely orchestral version. There's no vocals, no nothing. It's just an orchestral version of the album.
Well, then that's incredibly clever of him, and I need to go away and listen to that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. It almost, I think if you listen to one and then listen to the other, and then kind of the two cross over, and it all comes together in one big, pretentious, wonderful bubble.
It does make it was making me wonder though earlier. Like, I mean, again, I'll retouch on what I said about Sanguisugabogg and things like that, and a lot of those other bands that are in that same vein. That it just, what happens with me is I literally 30 seconds in, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. I'm not even prepared to listen beyond this. This is just crap. And some of it, in the name of the podcast, I will sit and try and get through, and I just find myself becoming irritated that I'm having to listen to it, and it's not a good sign. And I'm just like, you take, I think it's like as if the bands are taking it for granted that you already like this music, and therefore you will just buy into it straight away. So they make no effort of being crap. There's no craft to the songs. It's just sometimes it's a wall of sound. It's just, and I'm sorry, like sometimes you want to be able to hear the damn lyrics because maybe they've got something important to say, you know.
Yeah,
like IHSAHN writes lyrics
with some bands.
He's a very good. He's a good storyteller as well.
Yeah. Andy? What do you think of it? Because we haven't really had a chance to really sort of discuss it all that much, but I'm kind of expecting you to have loved it.
I mean, believe it or not, I've not listened to it that much just because I've been trying to balance all my other listens and stuff at the moment. But that's somewhat of a conscious decision because unlike Padre, I don't want to listen to this album back to back. For me, this is a weekly listen and something to absorb slowly over time. But when I actually sit down to listen to it, I listen to it properly and focus on it. And so I don't want to be doing that a lot in a short space of time. I got that from the first listen because it is a very spacious, open piece of work with a lot going on. But what surprised me from the start was it's only 48 minutes. I was expecting a longer album.
Yeah.
After hearing about it and seeing what it probably entailed, pleasantly surprised. I thought, well, you know what, I can potentially sort of give this more listens in the short term. But no, I'm gonna be very patient with it. But I don't think I want to listen to it a great deal. It's not a chorus album. It's not a sing along album, is it? Of course, it's not that kind of work.
No, not.
But I like it straight away. I like it, and I expect I will love it. But I don't love it yet because I need to work on it, and that's great. With everything else that's out there, with the sort of thrash or whatever, I want something that just takes that additional effort. And this is that, and this is going to be that for a while now. But I was quite surprised because I heard a few comparisons to say that this is the closest they come to Emperor, and I don't get that. I'll be honest. I know there's some elements of black metal there, and yes, he does. He's got his sort of growly parts, and there are some blast beats, but there's very little there. For me, this is very, and I apologise for saying this, but this is a progressive rock record.
Yes,
it is
exactly.
It is. Yeah, it is good. Absolutely.
It's very good progressive rock,
and it's a progressive prog rock album that has its roots in black metal.
But
absolutely.
You look back to Prometheus, and that's very much the same. This is almost like the reason I feel like it is the closest we'll get to any kind of new Emperor music is because Prometheus almost feels like this is the next step from that. I mean, obviously, IHSAHN's done a lot of solo work since then, but nothing has been as complex and grandiose as this album. And it harks back to when I first heard Prometheus, because that's got the same kind of big fucking drama and more than it has black metal. So
yeah,
I think
got a natural progression.
To call this album black metal would do it a disservice.
It's not a black metal album. It's not. It's got elements of black metal, but you're right. It is.
I mean,
prog in all intents and terms. It's prog.
I mean, one of the things I really like about it is I don't know for certain, but it feels like there is a massive John Barry influence. That first track, that could have been lifted right off the James Bond soundtrack. It really could. That opening, it's got that drama, that sort of majesty that John Barry was brilliant at over his career, and it pops up again in later songs. And like I said, I listen to a lot of John Barry when I work because he was just fantastic at what he did. And the way he's brought that in, I don't know. I mean, it's I can only speculate, but it seems like a bit of a cliche, but maybe IHSAHN could score a James Bond film next. It's not going to happen.
Oh, can you imagine that?
It would, yeah, but it's not going to happen because that's never going to be the route they go back down.
But if you think about it, Anthems to the Welking at Dusk would be a really good title for a James Bond film.
Well, no.
Let's just digress. let's go off on a tangent just very quickly.
Oh god.
Other song titles that would be good as a James Bond film title. I mean, I would say I would if I was going to pick one, I would go straight to glam rock. I mean, there's got to be, there's got to be some song titles there. You know?
That's one for another episode, I think.
Yeah, that's
that's one for getting back on the beer. I think that one.
Yeah,
yeah.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting now because we'll come back. I think halfway through the year we're planning to do kind of like a 6-month episode, aren't we, of the year so far? So this is one of those albums that I think we'll be discussing again as to how it developed. We sound fucking wanky as fuck talking about this, but it is. It's accurate, isn't it? It is a piece of work that does not fit any kind of pigeonhole whatsoever.
No.
So I haven't had a chance to listen to the vinyl yet, so I want to be able to do that whole.
Pigeonholes are traditionally made from wood, and we know that IHSAHN likes to burn things made out of wood. So
that was a long time ago, man.
Yeah. I was very young and very stupid. Yeah. So look,
that's quite a story though to tell your grandkids. What did you used to do when you were younger? I tried to overthrow Christianity in Norway by burning churches down.
Thing is, though, he didn't. I think didn't he did it very briefly, and then he said, "You know what? It's not going to make a difference."
Yeah, he wasn't all that involved with it. Samoth was a bit more active, and so
he was in that scene, and he was.
All part of the circle, So, but that's a long.
He was like, "No,
I've come a long way since then." But yeah. But look, while we're talking about black metal, we may as well talk about Holder as well, then, Versus an Oath, because this is the black metal album.
Yes.
This is mostly it's a more traditional black metal album, but it does, listening to it makes me hark back to the black metal that I love when something clicked with black metal back in the day of Emperor and Immortal and Dimmu Borgir when they were at their best and whatnot. This is why I keep going back to this, but it's a massive jump forward from the last album, God's Laster, and it's more ambitious. It's got better songs. It's a much better production. I keep going back to it and I keep listening to it over and over again. I absolutely love it. I think it's an absolutely great album.
Yeah, I mean it's the kind of black metal I sort of veer towards because, well, the production's not shit, basically.
Yeah.
And it's listenable. But I was surprised at how warm it sounded.
It is.
Actually.
It's not icy and black.
No, it is not frostbitten at all. Big cavernous drums as well, which I like.
Yeah.
But I think, again, what's appealing to me on this album is it feels, as much a gothic metal album as it does black metal. The stench of Peaceville is all over this album, and it feels
early 90s Peaceville. Yeah,
absolutely. You've got those melodies. You've got the Paradise Lost and the My Dying Bride. That sort of drama there, but then you got the blast beats and the shrieking and the nastiness to sort of balance it out. So that's what I like. It isn't just pure frozen cult black metal. There's depth there. There's songs there to an extent. It's a slow listen to me. And again, I'm not a black metal advocate, but it's an album I will be listening to again. So that's a sign.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I think Hark and the End and Versus an Oath are really interesting tracks. I listened to this, but I wasn't really focusing on it. But this is my new way of listening. This is my new way of listening to this kind of stuff. I'm trying a new approach. Right, like the IHSAHN stuff was different because I'm aware of IHSAHN. I'm familiar with his work, and I'm also a fan of his. But like this kind of stuff, again, this would have gone straight in the bin normally. But I had it on in the background, and then I'm going away and just going, right, I need to come back and listen to that song and that part because that's like kind of caught my attention. There's quite a few moments like that on that album.
Look, we got to also realize.
I think Anthony's right. It's a weekly listen. You got to go back and give these things more the attention that they deserve.
Got to remember as well. This is essentially a one-woman project as well, so it's quite unique just for that alone, which even makes it, if anything, makes it cooler. they've got all the aesthetic is there, all the traditional black metal, all the corpse paint, all the medieval imagery, all that full package is there, but just managed to deliver something. I don't know. I almost can't put my finger on why it is I like it so much. It just thunders along with a great groove.
Because there's songs. This is the thing. This is
Yeah.
the thing that I never liked about black metal, and one of the things I always felt missed the point, because when it comes to music, I'm a bit of a traditionalist. The point of music is to make music. Your melodies don't have to be complex or accessible, but there should be tune. There should be something, because that is what music is. Okay. Otherwise, you're just listening to noise. You might as well be listening to a fucking construction site down the road, which I'm sure if you've had enough drugs, you could probably get something out of. But you want tune, and even in your most, shitty punk rock bands, you've had that sometimes. 3 chords, all weird. Even fucking the second Black Flag album, My War, which I cannot fucking stand, there's still tune there. But that early black metal stuff, that early Norwegian stuff, so many of them were all about like, we want to make music that no one else will like, that's so harsh, it's so horrible sounding, but it won't attract anyone else. And I get the punk rock element of that, but that seems contrived to me. It's like, you're still making music. Make music, for fuck's sake. If you want to make it harsh and evil, yeah, I don't know. But for me, I just didn't agree with it, and it's not going to pull me in. But when they realised, you know what, if we're going to continue, we're going to evolve and stick around, we got to make music. And that's why Emperor went down their direction. That's why, excuse me, Dimmu Borgir went a bit big and stupid, which, isn't to everyone's taste, but they evolved.
It worked.
Exactly. And that's why, if you're gonna pull me into black metal, make songs, and I'll give you a go.
Look, there's a lot of black metal around these days that you are getting that. There's you had like is it Hellruin, Dutch black metal band from last year, which again is quite raw and quite punky, but it's got a real fucking hook and a groove all the way through it. It can be done. Yeah.
And also, I didn't get into them, I'll be honest, but the late Dawn Raid, I credit what they did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I credit what they did.
That was in my top 40 last year. I really enjoyed that album.
And I really wanted to like that. I really wanted to click with it because, I fully appreciate what they did, but it just didn't. But fair play to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree with that. But they obviously had an agenda that they did their thing, they had their message, and they just sort of stopped it there, and that was it. So fair play to them. But they made 3 really fucking good albums. And they were doing something a little bit different with black metal. And I think HULDER are doing something similar. They've got enough traditional black metal elements for it to be considered black metal and to have all the aesthetic, but there's hooks, there's a groove, and just something a little bit different. And
I admittedly haven't listened to it through my speakers, through my main machine, and I think that will probably sound quite big.
Yeah, it's just another week, another great record from 20 Buck Spin, isn't it? So, right. A slightly different angle on heavy metal. Striker Ultra Power.
Striker.
I've had a lot of fun with this, so I'm curious to see what you two thought of it.
I mean, never heard of this band before. I think they're about 5 or 6 albums in, aren't they? So
something like that. They've been around for a while anyway.
And they're Canadian.
Well, that says it all.
Oh, which surprised me. I thought they'd be American. I thought they'd be American. Well, they're from Edmonton, which is Canada, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now, I mean, what can you say about this album? Everyone was talking about it that first weekend.
Yeah.
Because I'm not listening to new releases immediately based on other things. I'm giving the internet a couple of days to basically listen for me before I make my choice. But that opening weekend, it seemed like everyone on Twitter, on Metal Twitter, was saying, "Oh wow, this is great fun! You got to listen to this." Literally everyone. So I did, and my word, this is great fun. I mean, it's basically 80s party metal.
Yep.
Is it? I think that's all. That's what you can say about it. And I need to turn up music there, but best of the best of the best. It seems to veer from like a lost track off a Rocky IV soundtrack to a lost track off the Baywatch TV movie soundtrack. TV movie, but whatever. Yeah, there you go. That's it. We go mad here. It's just got that sort of vibe, that sunshine. There's sax being thrown into the mix. There's, it's Point Break.
The saxophone. It's
Yeah,
like something should be in the Goonies or something, which is on Give It All, isn't it? It's just a
yeah.
proper.
It
It's
is.
so 80s. It almost
I mean,
hurts.
there's a track called Thunderdome there, for fuck's sake, but they close with a track called Brawl at the Pub, which is, they've got these comedy British accents there, and
Yeah.
it's quite ridiculous. But it's certainly not going to be in my top 10 of the year, but it may well be in my top 40 because it's an album that I'll probably stick on quite a few times throughout the year for a laugh. I mean, it's a summer album all day long. Why the hell they're releasing it in the winter? I don't know.
It's great driving music as well. It's just absolutely, it's the perfect pace. It's just ridiculously catchy. There's enough sort of Def Leppardisms in there, aren't there?
Oh, fucking hell, the harmonised sort of choruses they've got.
Pure 80s Def Leppard, and I fucking love. I've been back and listened to a couple of their previous albums, and they don't come any. It's just pretty much run of the mill power metal previous to this, whereas Ultra Power, they've just gone full balls deep 80s, and look, the whole world is balls deep 80s these days. So why the fuck not? If it brings out great songs like this and great albums, then I'm all for it. It's a whole world of fun.
Yeah.
Padre, have you had a chance to listen to it?
No, but I will do based on what you've just said. Toxic Cruelty, IHSAHN, and HULDER of what I've listened to this week. You did send an email though with it was like kind of almost like a blues rock band from Canada. Or a hard rock band. I need to go back and listen to that. Again, this is pathetic. I know this. I know this sounds pathetic, but stuff that gets sent on email and it's like on Bandcamp, I just have a much more difficult time getting on board with, because like I was listening to one band and I had to keep going back and push it. It wouldn't queue up. And
yes, it's a bit like
on Spotify, you can just push play and it will play the whole thing. And then what I do like as well was a lot of the time it will play the band, and then it's like it will randomly select another band based on that recommendation, and then I end up thinking that it's the same band. And I'm like, fucking hell, like, is this one of their second albums? Now I've clocked that it's actually Spotify choosing something else, because there've been a couple of times when I've listened to a band, thought, yeah, that's all right, and then it's picked another band and queued it up automatically, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's really good. That must be off a previous album, when I've gone back and went, oh fuck, it's a different band. But then you find different stuff. That's what I do like about Spotify.
Oh yeah. I've picked up all sorts of new stuff like that. But that's the payoff of promos, mate. When you're getting it before release, there's got to be a little bit of a payoff.
Yeah.
I'm
not complaining. I'm just saying it's like I'm very.
It's inconvenient.
It's like the kind of excuses people use to get out of going to the gym. Oh, it's raining, I'm not going now. It's like, it's on Bandcamp, it's not queuing up. Oh, I'm not going to listen to this. I can't be asked for this.
It's a small inconvenience.
It's like a combination of like entitlement, laziness. I don't know, fucking egotism. I don't know what it is.
It's all of the above.
You know you need to get over it. You know you need to get over it.
Yeah, you definitely need to get over it. All right, look,
But I will say this. Sorry, you've had 3 albums out of me this month. So you can fuck off.
Oh well, let's do the other one then. We've mentioned Toxical a couple of times. Toxical, Under the Southern Light, our other favourite label, Dying Victims, another label that just can't do wrong. This is just proper straight up heavy metal, isn't it? Judas Priest, fucking Painkiller era heavy metal. Yeah, what do you think of this one? Because I like it. I thought it was fucking great.
Yeah, it's good. It's good fun. I mean, it seems to occupy that sort of background between traditional heavy metal and, I suppose, the early days of Euro power metal.
Yeah,
Halloween were pushing that sort of sound. That's kind of where it is, I think, for me in terms of vibe. It's got a bit of a meaty production to it, which pulled me in. And the melodies aren't quite, they're a little bit off kilter as well. But but yeah, it's difficult really to sort of describe it, because it is just heavy metal.
It is just heavy metal. I like the fact the bass is really high in the mix. You can really hear it coming through.
Yeah.
So I can't remember if it's the intro or the outro solo. Is it Tonight's of Leather?
I don't know. I can't. The song titles I can't remember.
I mean, I just what this album reminded me of was that very short flirtation that you had with Accept when you were listening to London Leather Boys. And I did have to say that I did speak to one of our mutual friends, and he was like, he's always liked the fruity stuff. And like, we were like, at one point we were like, look, he's got a wife and kids, but is there something he's not telling us here? I mean,
do like the fruity stuff. I love the fruity stuff.
I mean, it's definitely, there's definitely a sort of like a kind of a tinge of homoeroticism to some of the stuff that you send my way sometimes. But I do agree, though, that again, which song is it? It's like there's a really fast outro solo or intro. So it sounds like it's like almost reminiscent to the New Order by Testament, or the intro solo to The Conjuring by Megadeth.
I know.
I think that really made me just stop and go.
The final track, Filios do Metal, where they sing in Spanish or Portuguese. I don't know.
Yeah, Portuguese, isn't it? Yeah,
Portuguese. Yeah, okay. That's a standout for me. So it could be that.
Yeah, there isn't much more you can say about it other than it is just fucking good heavy metal. There's no sort of fucking about, but that's what Dying Victims are all about, isn't it? That whole label is just about old school heavy metal, and this is just another one that ticks that box. So
it does. What's interesting, I think, about this as a release, I think so much of Dying Victims stuff has been quite raw, hasn't it? There's been a lot of speed metal. There's been a lot of nasty stuff. You had your token 70s rock palette cleansers dotted about,
like Freeway.
Freeway, or Christ, what was that? There's another one I liked. There's too many now, but this felt quite different. It stood out because it felt quite clean.
It's quite slick, isn't it? And the is,
that's it. That's the thing. But I think most Dying Victim stuff is early 80s or 70s. This is very much a late 80s album.
Yeah, a bit of a polish.
Yeah.
Bit of a spit and polish, but yeah, look, if you're into that kind of thing, like I said, it's got a bit of Painkiller Era Priest about it. So if you haven't heard it, go and give it a shout. It's definitely worth a listen. I'll give a quick shout out to Creation Undone by Mortar Skuld. Obviously, we had Dave Greger from Mortar Skuld on a couple of weeks ago. It was fucking brilliant, absolute legend. Loved him. This is I think this is going to be one of my favorite death metal albums of the year. Genuinely, really, I'd never heard of this band up until about 2 months ago. Heard them mentioned, and then the promo of this came through and gave it a couple of listens. I was like, yeah, it's all right. And but the more and more I listen to it, it's just got a proper fucking filthy old early 90s death metal groove, and that's clicked. They've got his songs in there, and when he was talking about some of the lyric subjects as well, there's a bit of thought behind it. It's not just about ripping entrails from a virgin's cunt. It is, there is a bit of thought behind it, and I really like it, and I'm struggling to find it on vinyl. I've ordered it twice from 2 different places, and the orders have been cancelled because they haven't been able to get it in stock. I need to be able to find it on vinyl, but yeah, a quick mention for that, and a quick shout out to Vermin Throne as well. The Cull, they were on a few weeks back. Fucking great British band. They're playing one of our shows later this year with Allfather. Filthy, dirty, sludgy riffs. Love this album, and I think it'll be floating around in the top 40 for the year. Definitely, really enjoyed that. Right, Darkest Hour.
Yeah,
this is an interesting one.
It is.
I did like Darkest Hour back in the day. I remember the album Hidden Hands of a Sadist Nation. I thought was really fucking good. It was like a modern take on At the Gates. So this one came along, and I was interested in this to see what it sounded like. But I know, Anthony, you quite like this one.
Yeah, this is a band that have completely eluded me before now. And when I was looking up their history after this album, seeing how long they've been around, the best part of 30 years as a band. And they were knocking around in the noughties. And I'll be honest, I don't I can't remember them clearly. Maybe they passed me by a couple of times, but I don't clearly remember them at all. And it seems in the noughties they were a bit more of a sort of hardcore band, melodic hardcore, punk, definitely metalcore, hardcore slash.
They were lumped in with metalcore in the noise. When, like I say, when that album Hidden Hands of Sadie's Nation came out, it was very much off the back of your Kill Switches and all.
I mean, looking at the photos of them, they look like a bunch of nerds basically.
Yeah.
But it seems like 3/5 of the band weren't around in those days, and they've been more of a different band since 2012, 2011, I think, for the most part. And it's been more metal, as it were. But I checked this out because I think it dropped quite suddenly, didn't it? It almost with no announcement.
It was a pretty quiet release, it was.
And again, I saw a lot of positive thoughts about it on that opening weekend. So it was like, well, you know what? They've got a fan base. It's had some good words. So I'll check out a couple of the tracks. And I really liked it. And, for me, this is, again, we're not talking anything particularly complex here. But for me, this is no-nonsense, mid-noughties metalcore, but good balance. We're not talking massively heavy or anything sort of special, but it's just a really good balance of the metalcore choruses, the breakdowns, the riffs, the solos, just everything. And I'll be honest, I didn't really click with the Unearth album last year. I know it got a lot of positive praise, but it just didn't grab me for some reason. Don't know why. It's a shame. Love them back in the day. This didn't do it for me. But this scratches that itch that Unearth did. That album should have done. And I mean, there's some almost power ballad stuff going on in this album, as well as all the metalcore stuff. There's light and dark, ebb and flow, and it's just a straightforward, enjoyable metalcore album, and I'm quite surprised because completely eluded me before.
It's an odd one. I mean, I think I need to listen to it more. I've given it a couple of goes now, but something hasn't quite clicked. When it slows down and those sort of breakdown parts, it's really good. I really like that, but the faster parts I kind of lost track of quite quick, and each song was kind of blending into the next. So I was struggling to kind of work out what was going on, and was getting a little bit lost in the mix. But I should like it because it's the kind of stuff that's albeit not very fruity, it's well up my street. So I'm going to persevere with this one and then come back to it because I do like the band, and like you say, they've paid their dues. They've been around for a long fucking time, so they sort of deserve that kind of respect. But I'm surprised that you picked up on it the way you did, to be honest with you, because
but that's it. That's what I want. I want to be surprised here and there, and but like I say, I'm trying to check out less albums this year. I mean, I think by this time last year I checked out about 40 or 50 albums already because I was just going for it and sampling a lot of things, and you can't do that. I mean, our good friend Gav, I think he's diving into everything, and I just said, you'll learn, you'll work out what works for you. And
Gav is the heavy metal sponge.
Yeah, so I think I've thought of averaging about 10 new albums a month so far this year, which is fine, and I should definitely get a good top 20 out of it, if not a top 40 at the end of the year. But that's what I want. I'd rather spend more time with less albums than less time with a lot more albums, quite frankly. And I think using the approach of seeing what people are talking about a lot over the weekend, it's working for me because it means, I can make better decisions maybe on Monday or Tuesday.
Are you talking about albums or sexual partners?
Oh God, I've got time for that nonsense.
Metal albums are way more important. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Fuck that's further down the list.
It's like albums. I like to spend more time with fewer sexual partners.
It's worth noting, actually. Apparently, Margate is the swingers capital of the UK.
Oh, hello.
And I don't have a car, so
but you only need a car for dogging. Don't get the two things confused. So
swinging is when you go and hook. Dogging is you go up like North Cliffs in Cornwall and just
You just shove your appendage in someone's window, basically.
Yeah.
And
When I lived in Red Hill back in Surrey, I had a lovely view of the town from a hill I lived on. But the North Downs was right in front of me, and there's quite a famous cafe and car park at the top there that people go to during the day. But at night, it's a notorious dogging spot. And there was always bright lights that you could see at night coming from that car park. And
would you just get a taxi up there instead and just kind of make him wait while you did your thing?
Oh, I don't even need to worry about that, mate.
There's an Uber version just for dogging. Uber or something like
Uber
that.
dogging. This is not this dogging podcast. Let's just move on from that.
It's not called Uber; it'd be called Dogger or something like that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You know what? Look, there's a business idea for you. We'll specialize in just your driver will turn up, take you to the best dogging spots in town, wipe you down, and drive you home. What more?
No! That's too far. No, we don't need wet wipes.
I think we'll move on, shall we? One last album I want to talk about. Look, while we're on, as we're talking about dogging, this goes perfectly into the next album. Heretic, Filthy Hymns for Sleazy Demons. I fully don't expect either of you to have been into this in any way, shape, or form. Padre, you probably haven't even listened to it. It would probably be illegal in Saudi Arabia. I've got to be honest with you.
No, I haven't.
The album cover would definitely be illegal in Saudi Arabia. What can I say about this? Fuck me. This is Venom in a bar fight with a load of dirty 80s greasy bikers. That's what this is.
This is Venom in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah. I think you pretty much nailed it. It was when I saw it first sort of pop up like on K-Man's list on the Friday, it was kind of billed as like this sort of black metal rock and roll kind of thing, but musically it's about as route one as heavy metal gets. Like there's no twists, no turns. This is sort of straight down the line.
So what's the name of the band?
Heretic. And the album Filthy Hymns for Sleazy Demons. Just check out the album cover if your phone doesn't explode under Saudi law while you try and look. But look, lyrically, something else. Particularly in I don't want you to love me eternal. I just want you to fuck me infernal.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, that was quite.
It's little gems like that. It's prostitute metal basically.
So this is on Spotify.
Yeah,
well,
fine.
Well, it is, but maybe not for you.
Yeah,
it's I can tell. Obviously, this is absolutely scratching your scratching your speed metal. It's
no, it's okay. It's okay. I've got my VPN on. It's come up.
Yeah. I'll be honest. If anything, I was a bit disappointed by this album because, and this is a surprise for me, it's not nasty enough. It feels a bit too clean.
It's not nasty. It's just pervy.
Yeah. That's probably
it's like sad little sleazy man buying porn mags in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Have you seen the other album? Album 2015, Angel Cunts and Devil Cocks.
Oh, we saw. Yeah, that was a bit more.
I mean, this is the thing, right? With bands like this, if you're gonna like sing about Satan and demons and stuff, I actually want substance with that.
Nah, there's no substance in it.
I'm into like demonology and stuff. So,
but they don't. This band clearly don't sell themselves as anything with an education behind it. It is like I said.
It's just Heretic's a bit of a waste of a name.
Well, you said the same thing about Slipknot's Heretic Anthem. It's just filth. It's just good old honest. Probably get arrested filth. And I kind of like that.
But the thing is, I mean, like I say, for the most part, it didn't really click with me for reasons. But there is one track on the album called Ritual Girl, which takes a little bit of a diversion, which feels more like something they should explore, because we were talking a much more rockabilly approach. There was a bit of a bit of twin temple about it. I thought a bit of that 50s doo wop, greaser groove kind of, almost like potentially a first dance if you're into that kind of thing. And I liked that. I thought they got that. They dealt with that quite well, and that's what I'd like to hear more of, because you can get away with the pervy satanic stuff with that as well. But yeah, it like you say, it's Route One, but that's what I thought.
Oh, it's pure early 90s Wimbledon Route One. It's about as simple as it gets. Demonizing womanizer is probably the highlight. I think how was it being referred to the chorus? It was Kraftwerk on cider or something along those lines. It was yeah. Look, I think just go and have a listen to it and don't take it too seriously. Maybe cover yourself in oil or something that will help you through it. It's got that that sort of dumbass base level Manowarism of just trying to be as pervy as you possibly can. You're right. It doesn't exactly. It's not going to be on anybody's top 40 of the year, but there was something about it that I really fucking enjoyed, and I keep on listening to it, and there's a lot of fun. And yes, I have bought it on vinyl, so
yeah.
So I get to have that glorious album cover in full 12 inches, matron.
12 inches indeed.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but I think that's about it for February for top picks, wasn't it? Is there anything else you want to?
No, that's it. I mean, there's a couple of other albums I do want to give a bit of time to, but maybe on a future roundup for the year we'll get to that. But
I mean, something else that we were going to talk about, but I think we'll leave it to another episode because it's a bit of a deeper conversation, which was the whole AI
okay, all right,
argument that's kind of that's sort of reared its ugly head at the moment. So we will talk about that.
Yeah, I really want to, but I haven't got the energy right now, quite frankly, with other things going on. So
yeah, it's a funny one, that one, but we've definitely got some opinions on that. So we'll probably come back to it in 2 or 3 weeks' time, and
I'm going to get AI to write an opinion on AI.
I've used AI for a couple of things, and it has its uses, but I don't know. It's definitely upset some people. So we will we'll come back to it in a bit more detail in 2 or 3 weeks' time. So yeah, that's about it. Look, next time we're tackling the beast that is ranking Judas Priest albums.
Oh yes,
I think we've been planning for about 5 months, haven't we? It's not going to be an easy one.
It's I sorted for me, so. It's going to be interesting. I think we've all got. They're a band who, I think most of their back catalogue is at least good.
Yes,
that's the thing. We're not talking about bands who've got like 25% good albums and the rest is patchy. This is a band who have been consistently good for most of their career.
There's no risk in this.
Yeah, I would. I don't know. I think I'm going to be a lone voice next week.
Okay.
Fucking hell. Look, for me, it was like choosing your favorite fucking child or your favorite puppy or something with Priest. There's just something about that band that, like you say, they've always delivered the goods. Pardon the pun.
But it's been great. It's been giving me the opportunity to listen to a lot of Judas Priest lately.
Yeah, exactly. And the new album dropped today, which is getting great fucking reviews everywhere at the moment. Everyone seems to be loving that. So. We'll talk about that a little bit more as well, but I'll be interested to hear if the holy representative here is going to have some different opinions. So we'll see, won't we? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay, that's for next week. But until that point, thanks for listening and stay metal. We'll see you next week.